The snow fell softly on Fifth Avenue, dusting the sidewalks with a thin layer of white. Christmas lights twinkled in every shop window, casting warm glows onto the cold December streets. People hurried past, their breath forming little clouds in the winter air, arms full of shopping bags and holiday cheer. Inside the towering glass building of Morrison Industries, James Morrison sat alone in his corner office on the 40th floor. The city stretched out below him like a sea of lights, but he barely noticed. His desk was covered with contracts and financial reports, numbers that represented millions of dollars but somehow felt empty tonight. James had built his company from nothing. 20 years of long hours and tough decisions had made him one of the most successful businessmen in New York, but success had come with a price. His marriage had ended 5 years ago. His daughter lived across the country with her mother. Christmas had become just another day on the calendar, another excuse for mandatory company parties he attended out of obligation. He loosened his tie and glanced at his watch. 7:30. Most of his employees had left hours ago to be with their families. But James had nowhere to go. Nothing waiting for him except an empty penthouse apartment and a frozen dinner. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called, expecting his assistant. Instead, a small figure appeared in the doorway. A little girl, no more than 7 or 8 years old, stood there in a thin pink coat that had seen better days. Her dark hair was dusted with snowflakes, and her brown eyes were wide and uncertain. She clutched a worn teddy bear against her chest. James sat up straighter, confused. "How did you get up here?" The girl took a tentative step forward. "The security man was helping someone, so I came in." "I need to talk to you, Mr. Morrison. It's really important." "Where are your parents?" James asked, his voice softer now. "Does someone know you're here?" "My mama's in the hospital," the little girl said quietly. "She's been sick for a long time. That's why I'm here." James felt something twist in his chest. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Sit down." "What's your name?" "Emma Rodriguez," she said, climbing into the large leather chair. Her feet didn't touch the ground. "My mama works in your building. She cleans the offices at night. Her name is Maria Rodriguez." James nodded slowly. He employed dozens of cleaning staff, though he rarely saw them. They worked after hours. Invisible people who kept the building running while everyone else was home. "Mama got really sick 3 months ago," Emma continued, her voice trembling slightly. "The doctors say she needs an operation, but our insurance won't pay for all of it. We don't have enough money." She paused, swallowing hard. "If she doesn't get the operation soon, she might not get better." The office felt very quiet. Outside, the snow continued to fall. "Emma," James said gently, "why did you come to me?" The little girl reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. She smoothed it carefully on his desk. It was a newspaper article several months old, about Morrison Industries donating computers to local schools. "I read this at the library," Emma said, pointing at his picture. "You helped those kids get what they needed. So I thought, maybe you could help my mama too." She looked up at him with eyes full of desperate hope. "Please, Mr. Morrison, she's all I have. I don't want to lose her." James stared at the article, then at the little girl before him. When was the last time he'd looked at his company's charitable donations as anything more than tax, write-offs, and good publicity? When had he stopped seeing the actual people behind the numbers? He thought about his own daughter, Katie. She was 9 now, only a bit older than Emma. What would she do if something happened to him? Who would she turn to? "Tell me about your mama," he said quietly. Emma's face brightened a little. "She's really nice. She always makes me breakfast before school, even when she's tired. She sings songs in Spanish while she cooks, and she reads me stories every night." Her voice dropped. "But she's been too sick to do those things lately. I've been staying with our neighbor, Mrs. Chen." James picked up his phone and made a call. "Sarah, I need you to come back to the office." "Yes, I know it's late. This is important." 20 minutes later, his assistant arrived, snow still clinging to her coat. James explained the situation while Emma sat quietly, clutching her teddy bear. "Get Maria Rodriguez's employment file," James instructed. "And contact Dr. Peterson at Mount Sinai. I want to know exactly what medical care she needs and how quickly we can arrange it." "Right away," Sarah said, her eyes warm as she smiled at Emma. As Sarah left to make the calls, James came around his desk and knelt beside Emma's chair, something he never would have imagined doing an hour ago. "Emma, I'm going to help your mama. We'll make sure she gets the operation she needs." The little girl's eyes filled with tears. "Really? You promise?" "I promise," James said, and he meant it. Emma threw her small arms around his neck, hugging him tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." James felt something break open inside his chest. A wall he'd built brick by brick over years of putting business before everything else. He hugged the little girl back, remembering what it felt like to be a father, to be someone who mattered to another person in a way that had nothing to do with money or power. The next few days moved quickly. Maria Rodriguez received the surgery she desperately needed. Morrison Industries covered all the costs, but James did more than write a check. He visited Maria in the hospital, meeting the woman whose daughter had reminded him of what truly mattered. On Christmas morning, James stood in Maria's hospital room with Emma. The surgery had been successful. Maria was recovering, her color already better, her smile weak but genuine. "Mr. Morrison," Maria said softly, "I don't know how to thank you." "Your daughter already did," James replied, placing a hand on Emma's shoulder. "She reminded me that this season is about more than balance sheets and board meetings. It's about taking care of each other." Later that evening, James called his own daughter for the first time in weeks. They talked for over an hour, making plans for him to visit for New Year's. He'd already asked Sarah to clear his schedule. As snow fell once again over the city, James Morrison looked out his office window with different eyes. The lights below weren't just decorations anymore. They were homes, families, people with stories and struggles and dreams. One little girl's courage had changed everything. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with trumpets and angels. Sometimes they come in a thin pink coat, carrying a teddy bear and the bravest heart in the world.